This week, Florida Governor Rick Scott officially announced his run for U.S. Senate. The two-term Republican governor faces longtime Democrat Senator Bill Nelson, setting the stage for a neck-and-neck fight all the way to November. Here to share more is Foreman, Chair of History and Political Science at Barry University. Thanks so much for joining us, Sean. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Sandra.
So, how close do you expect this race to be?
Well, we expect this to be really close and really contentious. It was no secret that Rick Scott was going to get in this race, but now we officially have our heavyweight contest of our two-term governor, Rick Scott, and three-term Senator Bill Nelson. So these are probably two of the best-known politicians currently in Florida. People already have opinions about them either way. And we know that Florida is important, and not just because we live here and we think so,
Sure.
but it's the third largest state, it's a swing state, and we expect that this race could go either way, and so there'll be a lot of attention on it. So we expect that probably there'll be about $200 million in advertising, which would break a record of $180 million
Wow.
spent in Pennsylvania last election.
And you were telling me, again, the focus, it seems the focus is always the I-4 corridor. Explain that.
Yes, so if we were to generalize, in North Florida, Republicans tend to do better. In South Florida, the Democratic candidates do better in Palm Beach, Broward, and Miami-Dade counties. It's in Central Florida along the Interstate 4 corridor where the campaigns really fight it out. It could swing one way or another. And what we saw in the presidential election in 2016 is that that's where Donald Trump really made up the ground. Even though Hillary Clinton got a record number of votes in Miami-Dade County of any candidate ever, Donald Trump did better than previous Republicans in the I-4 corridor in the rural areas outside of Tampa and Orlando. So I think that's where you're going to see a lot of the fighting happening, not in the big cities, but in the less populated areas of Florida to get those people to turn out to vote.
How vulnerable is Senator Nelson? This would be his fourth term.
Yes, you know, that's a good question. As an incumbent, generally you have advantages.
Sure.
The thing about Bill Nelson is that for as long as he's been in office, and he was in office many years before that at the state level, before his 18 years in the Senate, people don't know him very well. He keeps a low profile. He doesn't rush to the cameras to get attention. He's not flashy or controversial. So I think that that's to his advantage and disadvantage. He's been under the radar, but this will allow Republicans to sort of define him in commercials and try to make him look worse than he's been. Rick Scott, people have strong opinions about him being our still current governor. So, you know, again, I think people know these folks, but they also have long records that you can pick through and say, well, they voted this way or another way, or they said this in the past, and they'll have to explain for those past positions.
So what are going to be the hot topics in this race?
Well, I think President Trump and opinions
Sure.
on Trump and the investigations and potential impeachment in the next Congress will be at the heart of this. Trump encouraged Rick Scott to run. They were friendly before Trump became president. So I think that will be an issue. But beyond that, education is important. And Rick Scott claims victories in raising funding for education in Florida, but the critics will say it's less per pupil than it was before. Critics will say Rick Scott passed up money for high-speed rail in Florida that we could have had, and he let go to another state. So I think there'll be those sort of Florida issues that are common, and the environment. Bill Nelson is an environmentalist. He's concerned about Florida water protection, whereas Rick Scott has had a less than stellar record on environmental concerns.
As far as gun control goes, I know,
Thank you. In
that
fact,
was
let us not forget a
hot topic, obviously,
Yes.
for obvious reasons. And I think some folks were surprised about the governor's stance on this issue because he's a strong supporter of gun rights.
Yes. So Rick Scott has been supported by the NRA in the past. They've run commercials on his behalf. No matter what, they're going to pick him over Bill Nelson in this race, people who support the Second Amendment rights in the NRA group. But I think Rick Scott might have actually done himself a favor. See, he already has NRA folks. They might be a little upset with him, but he signed that bill that did put some restrictions on. We could debate whether that was a good bill or not, but he can at least tell the people of Florida, I tried to do something to mitigate the issue after the Parkland shooting.
All right, Professor, thanks so much. I really appreciate your time. Thanks for your insight. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on.